Thank you so much for agreeing to do this, Tessa. I am so excited for everyone to hear your incredible healing story.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm really excited to be able to share it. That
Yeah.
I have one.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a long time coming. It's great.
Yeah.
Well, why don't you give people a little background just about your health journey and what your health has been like through your life and what
Mm.
things were like when you were at your worst before we started working together?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, truth be told, I actually spent most of my life sick and didn't really realize I was sick until I got so sick that I couldn't do anything. Through childhood, there was a lot of mold exposure, there were traumas, there was processed food and like tons of antibiotics. I grew up in the 80s and early 90s when it was like candy, you know? And so that was just kind of before anyone knew better, that ended up being my experience. And I can remember as far back as probably, I don't know, grade school when I played softball. And so, running around, I would all of a sudden have these bouts of where my heart would be racing and I couldn't catch my breath and I couldn't, and back then I didn't know what was happening. No one did. And so, yeah, I kind of have this long history of just really crazy stomach issues and dysregulation and so many things. And that just stayed with me like my whole life. And I um, kind of just became my normal, even though it really was not normal at all. And so you learn to live with it. It sucks, but you just kind of keep going, the human spirit. We just kind of make do and we keep going. And so that's what I did for so long. And um, then it was probably about 3 years ago. My health got really, really bad. I've had a lot of hormone dysregulation. I mean, terrible periods my whole life and thyroid issues that I didn't know about. And I had had this mass that was growing, and had to finally get it removed. And the surgery went not great. I think, well, the surgery went okay, but I had some post-op complications. I had a lot of hemorrhaging. I had to get transfusions. It was kind of a mess. And after that, my poor body doing its best just could not recover anymore. And I got incredibly sick and weak. I was walking with a cane. I couldn't move around. I had to get help from my husband and my family members to kind of do just about anything. I couldn't eat. There was probably about 5 foods that I could eat, and not even all of them were necessarily safe, but they didn't cause as an extreme of reaction. I hadn't eaten eggs in years. I couldn't eat meat. I couldn't eat cruciferous foods. I mean, most of the things I just couldn't eat anymore. And I started having these crazy reactions to food where my stomach would just, you could watch it in real time like a balloon. I would eat and like I could set a watch by it. 30 minutes later, my stomach would just, I mean, get huge and my heart would start racing and I couldn't swallow well. And I mean, I know it sounds dramatic, but I quite literally thought I was dying. Like the next thing I was going to eat would be the thing that took me out. And of course I had gone to doctor after doctor, and this is for years. This isn't just oh, I'm really sick now, I need to go to the doctor. I've been talking to physicians about my weird, like transient, vague symptoms for as long as I could remember. And of course, my blood work would come back fine. there was nothing they could tell me. I just needed to de-stress and work on my anxiety. And it's like, well, no kidding. But when you're scared that the next thing you eat is going to like close your throat and you'll have to, find a way to get to the ER, it's like, how do you find peace around that? So yeah, it was just this really long, steady kind of descent into really, really severe illness. I needed help getting up my stairs. I couldn't sleep. It was wild. And all the things that, you are told that you should do didn't work. They just didn't work for me. And so it felt really, really helpless. And it was really scary. And my kids, bless their little hearts, they became so used to it. They would see me feeling bad. And they're like, "Oh, mom, you're sick today," or "Oh, you're feeling really bad today. Are you in pain?" And it just, as a mom, it's heartbreaking that, it became the normal for my kids as well. And so it got to the point where I just had to get really real with like a higher power, I guess. Like I felt like it was truly out of my hands. And so I just started putting it out there to the universe, like, I need help and like, I need it like yesterday. And eventually kind of found my way through these little coincidences or little like breadcrumbs, I felt like, and found my way to, you know, um, the previous program. And that's where I met you. And here we are today. I'm a completely different person. So,
Here we are. Thank you for sharing that. And
yeah.
gosh, I remember when we first met and like how debilitated you were. So I mean, you're not there's no exaggeration here. I mean, you were really in a pit. But I knew you were in a place where you were ready, and so I love how you described it was like you had to turn it over to God or like you just had that surrendering, right? Of like, okay, I'm ready to do whatever it takes. And you have to get to
Yep.
that point sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah. It really did take me getting to the bottom of bottoms for myself to be like, this really is I need to take my life into my own hands here legitimately and approach it in that way because that was reality, and it's funny because it's like society would have you think you're being dramatic. And admittedly, it is because it is your life. It was my life. And like, I felt like it was slipping through my fingers. And so, yeah, just kind of, I was like, okay, I'll do whatever it takes. Just help me.
So let's talk about that a little. Can you share a little bit about what you feel like the things that you implemented that were the most helpful for your recovery were?
Oh, yeah. So, hands down, cutting out the grains, the sugar. I think leaving sugar behind is really I think it's understated how powerful actually that was. It was particularly because I felt like not necessarily addicted to sugar, but almost like, now I know those bacteria in the gut are quite literally like, you need to feed me, right? And so it was this compulsion, and I think cutting out the sugar was huge, huge for me. Um, so, I mean, number one, the diet and getting in ketosis for it was months and months. I think really, really helped. What was absolutely insane was that once I did that, I cut out all of the kind of problem foods and then got myself into that ketogenic state. I dropped almost 60 pounds. It like melted off of me. And it was then that I realized, like, oh, I was super inflamed. Like, it wasn't just me being overweight or like not able to, like, I was sick and my body was like, and so that was absolutely crazy for me to go through because I'd spent years and years trying to do all the right things for my weight. Turns out I just needed to help calm my nervous system and my immune system, and it fixed itself. So I think number one, the diet, also the hydration piece. And like the hydration piece has been huge for me in the electrolytes. That was a big deal. And then really cultivating a sense of belief that I was okay. And it didn't feel okay at the time, but that I was doing the right things and I had support and that I believed in my body's intelligence and my ability to heal. It's a completely different experience of your illness when you don't feel like you're at its mercy. And that was huge. And having people who are experiencing the same thing, having people who are walking the same path as you and that you can lean on when times get hard, because I will be completely transparent. It was not easy. It was not easy. And you might remember I actually got pneumonia. I was sick. And, my lungs, I was a smoker for many, many years. And that detox process for my lungs was really, really tough. And I ended up having to take antibiotics and steroids. And so that was definitely a hill for me. Um, but having the community, having you, someone to trust, someone who is holding that space of like, it's okay. Yep, it's a setback. And your body is capable of navigating this and coming back even stronger. Like that is a game changer, because I think, at least for myself, and I know for a lot of the people that I've met through the programs, we feel so alone. We feel completely isolated, because I think as common as, dysautonomia and chronic illness and neuropathy and all these things are, we're kind of taught that it's all separate. And so this person's experience, if it's different than mine, means that we're not in the same, you know, um, experience. And it's just not true. And I mean, it's not true every time, but it is true sometimes. That, and so just knowing that there are other people who are going to be there and hear what you're going through and be like, oh yeah, no, I totally get it. It's okay. Here's what I did, or here's what helps me, or like, just hang in there. It's really important.
Yeah. I'm super glad you're bringing that up because you mentioned before you had like 5 safe foods and you like weren't tolerating meat, and we got you on intro gaps, like ketogenic intro gaps, and people listening are probably like, wait, like that's A, that's Z, like how, and I think you are such a testament to the willingness to like crawl through the mud.
Yeah.
Like I use that metaphor a lot where I tell people like, yeah, if you're in this like really restrained place when you start this process, it is going to be just like eking your way forward at first, but you were like totally willing to do that. And you got from like not tolerating meat, eating 5 foods to being on ketogenic intro gaps, which is a very advanced healing diet. And you did that, success, right? Oh no, now you have full blown pneumonia, right? But that didn't stop you, right? Like this
Yep.
persevering spirit of like, oh, this is my lungs detoxifying on a very, very deep level. And so, yeah, of course, sometimes you got to take antibiotics. But we got to save our lives sometimes, right? Like there's a time and a place.
Yes.
So you did it. We got you through it. And like you came out the other side of that
Yep.
a totally different person, like you
Yeah.
said. Like, how
Yeah.
amazing.
It really is incredible, because it's like, in the beginning, you want to believe that everyone is right and that your body won't be the exception that doesn't, somehow heal. And then, at this point, gosh, what am I, a year and a half, I think, into this, something like that. And really living the embodied experience of the healing process. And then you have that like, oh yeah, okay, it really is possible. And even for me, it was possible, it's like, because you go through so much of almost feeling gaslit. I mean, if I felt gaslit quite a lot, because it was like my experience wasn't real, or like it was just in my head. And so, you kind of break that pattern as well as your body goes through it. And yeah, and I did sort of dive off the cliff. But I remember you were so transparent about that. And it's actually one of the things that helped me decide, is because you were like, you're probably going to really go through it here for for a few weeks at least, but you can do that. And you having the confidence that like you can do this and it will be okay kind of gave me almost this subconscious permission to like, okay, well, I'm just going to do it. I've already been through hell. I'm living it. So if I can live it for just a little while longer, and maybe it's more intense, and it was, you were absolutely spot on. It was. um, but then the clouds start to part, and I got to the point where I only had to stop once up my stairs. I wasn't like having such crazy reactions when I took the baths. I could eat a little bit of an egg yolk. I could, it's like you start to see the little movements. And when you're that sick, it's everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you mentioned also like fixing your hydration, getting your minerals and electrolytes balanced. You mentioned the importance of community in your journey and changing your beliefs. Do you want to say any more about that? Like what you did for that process of
Oh,
learning
sure.
how to believe something different about your body? Because I mean, it's so important. And you kind of shared like I did this, but I'd love for you to share a little bit more about like how that actually looked for you, or what
Yeah.
you found was the most helpful kind of technique you used to help you do that.
I think the most helpful thing for me was gathering evidence of good,
Mm.
the things that were good, and just intentionally taking time out of my day to say, yeah, but you know what? This went right. Or this was really cool. I remember, I did a little bit of the limbic work, and that didn't really move the needle for me actually a lot. And at first that I don't know, I thought maybe I was doing it wrong or something. And then I just kind of was like, you know what, let it go. It's not really working. But what did was giving my anxious brain the evidence that things were good. So if I remember this will be a perfect example. I remember one night I was taking my magnesium bath and just thinking about everything that was going on. And I remember looking around my bathroom and it was a wreck. My kids are just, they're leaving crap everywhere. There's toothpaste on the it was just a mess. And while my pattern would have me get frustrated about that, I remember I had this enormous shift and I just started crying because, oh, I get emotional now, because it was evidence that my family was with me. We were together. We were safe. We were healthy. My kids were being kids. And, you know, as someone with a history of not really being able to be a kid, it was such a moment of gratitude and relief. And then I remember thinking, wow, that's new. I'm not bitching at my kids in my head right now. I'm actually just so grateful that they're giving me evidence that they're alive and well and we're together. And so just for, I think people with maybe similar experiences of mine in their childhood, you have to kind of retrain your perception to notice the good things first.
Yeah.
And so it really does take intention because it's not second nature. At least it wasn't for me. And so I made myself kind of I set an intention very specifically to be like, okay, but what's good right now? It feels really hard. I'm feeling really scared. I'm having a, flare up. But what's good? And there's always something.
Yeah. 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 So it sounds like it was this real combination of more brain retraining with like
Yep.
um, thought replacement and gratitude and all of these kinds of techniques that was most helpful for you.
Yep. And the pattern interrupts. I
Yeah.
remember, you speaking about that as well, like just because it will take you on a loop and your brain will just kind of take you on that ride if you let it. And so finding the it's really cultivating that awareness, right, in the moment. And I think meditation also helps immensely with that, because if nothing else, it's the intention behind what you're trying to do that moves the needle, at least in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Well, will you share a little bit about just where you are in your healing now? Like, what is where your symptoms are at? What's resolved? What kind of a day in your life looks like now?
Yes. With joy, I will share that. You know, I am so much more active than I used to be or was able to be. Like we were just kind of talking before this, I'll share. Yesterday, I went on, it was about 8.5 hour day trip with my girlfriend, and 2.5 hours of that was walking through the forest. And then I came home and I was not dead to the world. Like I was still functioning. I was still in a good mood. I was able to get a good night's sleep because it's like, when you're so tired that you actually can't sleep because it takes more energy than you have to sleep, you know, I got a good night's sleep and I woke up this morning and I'm moving and shaking. A year ago, a year and a half ago, this would not have even been accessible to me. I wouldn't have even thought to say yes to that because I would not have been able to do it. And so I am engaging in my life. I get up, I cook breakfast. I can run up my stairs. Now, I will say that at the top, I am a little like my heart's racing, but it's not completely tanking me. It's my muscles recover. I can exercise now. I go on walks with my kids. We go on trips to do things. I can go shopping at Costco and not have to come home and lay down for 3 hours. If that's not healing, I don't know what is. Um, and I will say, I'm not 100% recovered. I do have, depending on where I'm at in my hormone cycle, sometimes that's more accessible than others. I still have kind of stomach issues that come up every now and again. Like kind of back and forth with my bowel habits sometimes. I still get the occasional headache, but that is completely different. I mean, I would spend, no joke, like sometimes 7, 8 days at a time with a raging headache. And that was not uncommon. That was like constant in my life. And so, yeah, I think the biggest difference is that I can engage in my own life and I can do things with my kids, my family, and not completely fall apart because I've pushed past what my body's able to do. Like my body is just able to do them.
But Tessa, are you still only eating 5 foods?
Oh my gosh. No, okay, get this. I eat meat and eggs for breakfast daily. Every single day. I am eating eggs and meat. That's absolutely insane to me. Um, And I'm still like introducing some foods, especially I think we talked sort of recently about like, I kind of overdid it with the fruits, the fruits a little bit, and had to backpedal, but I can have some fruits. I can have apples and berries, and I even had a mango with no problem. I had pineapple and was okay. Like, I can have fruits, I can have vegetables. I'm still doing, all the fats like tallow and like I could not have even thought about processing that in my body once upon a time. So yeah, like I even feel brave enough to go to a restaurant, and if they have like a steak, be like, "Hey, can you just maybe cook this in butter?" And I can eat that. Which is like it feels like I can be normal to a degree that I was not just was not accessible to me before. Yeah. Does that mean that I can just go off the rails? No, absolutely. I still don't eat bread. I still don't eat sugar. I still don't, and I don't know honestly that I ever will. I mean, I've made it this long, you know? And I don't feel like I'm sacrificing anymore. And I think, now that that just kind of came out of my mouth, I think that's actually a really important component as well. In the beginning, it feels like you're sacrificing everything. And in some regards, you are, but I've gotten to a point now where that's not what that feels like. It feels like support. It feels like nourishment. It feels like life because that's what it gives you. Yeah. And so, um, yeah, I'm eating all kinds of stuff. I still can't eat onions, which is so frustrating to me, but you
Still
know,
bothers your stomach a bit.
it does, yeah. So
Yeah.
there's still some things, like it's not like, it's all unicorns and rainbows. There's still things that, I'm working through, but man, like and you can ask the people in my circle, like in my life, like the difference is, it's night and day. It really is.
Oh, I love hearing all the improvements like at once, I mean, we often will kind of focus on things here and there, but just hearing the transformation all at once is just so heartwarming. Thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
I just have such a deep gratitude for you and this and all the people who are in this circle doing this as well, because we all need each other, maybe not forever, right? And that's the whole point. But like when you need that, it's really vital. And so I'm so, so grateful. Um, because yeah, once upon a time I didn't think this was in the cards for me. And here we are. So,
Are there any last words of wisdom that you want to share for maybe someone just beginning their journey or just dipping their toes in? What would you want your old self to know?
jump, do it. Hands down, from my whole heart, do it for yourself. It will work. It will give you things back that you maybe have written off. It will change your life. Um, and I just, yeah, there's, for me, um, it's just in the leap. Just do it. Stop wondering if you're the one it won't work for. It will. Do it. You won't regret this. Yeah, I
Thank
think that's it, because the proof is in the path. Like once you start walking it, that will come. And there's I think there's just in the beginning, I felt so skeptical. It was really, there's just gonna be doubts sometimes. But yeah, I think if I could talk to that version of me, first of all, I would say thank you. Hands down. Thank you. But don't let the fear stop you from getting your life back. Really. Yeah.
Gosh, so beautiful. Yeah, such an important message. We all want to feel like we're the worst ones or we're the different one. But
Yep.
I just love how much you're emphasizing the importance of community and trust and surrender, like all of these things. So, thank you so much,
Yeah.
Tessa. This is so beautiful.
Yeah.
I so
Thank you.
appreciate your time and your wisdom.
Yeah. I'm so happy to be able to talk about it. Like I genuinely, I was like, oh, I would love to do that because it's so important. And it's knowing that there are other people who genuinely understand what you're going through and are saying, it's okay, you can do this. It changes everything. Yeah. Thank you.